What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Taking the Pin. Now, as of recording, we now have the semi-final lineup of the King of the Ring tournament. So we have on one side Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn, which is taking place on this Friday's SmackDown. And on the other side, we have Cody Rhodes versus the Yeetmeister himself, one Jey Uso, which will be taking place, of course, next week on Monday Night Raw. Now today, what me and Bryce are going to try and discuss or try and work out, if we need to put the pieces together a little bit, is discuss who we think is going to win King of the Ring. Because we are only about, 10 days away from the grand show. And, of course, the final will be on that pay-per-view or PLE or show or whatever you crazy kids want to call it nowadays. So, with that being said, Bragster, who do you think is going to win the two semi-finals respectively?
I think it's really difficult. Really difficult. Because if you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have... I don't know who I would have gone on the other side, but I definitely would have gone with Sami. But I feel like we're getting to this point now where I think the whole Goldberg situation has also put a bit of a spanner in the works because it depends on whether it is his last match. Isn't his last match? We don't really know. So is Goldberg available? If not, then the person who wins it's going for Cena. Let's be honest, the likely scenario is Cody. No, I think Cody's beating Jey. I think the story that they're going to tell there is Jay's bit beaten up and Cody's going to actually take advantage of that and show a bit more of a ruthless side, which then leads to the eventual match with Cena that we're expecting. Sami Randy, I think, is extremely unpredictable. You've got Sami going to Saudi Arabia, where he's obviously loved and adored. And we've seen so many great moments in Saudi already with Sami. With Randy, you get Randy versus Cody, the match we've all wanted for so long. Sitting here,
You're torturing yourself over this, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm going to go in my head over my heart and say that Randy is winning it. I just sitting here and thinking about it, I feel like they're going to tell the story that Cody's going to be a bit more ruthless on the way to go into Cena. And I think the ruthlessness story works better with Randy than it maybe does Sami. Because of the history that they've got. Although Sami is so beloved, having Cody be ruthless against him would get really good crowd reactions. But I'm going to go with my head over my heart and go with Randy and Cody to win their respective semi-finals.
Okay. So, on one side of the draw, I'm pretty certain it's going to be Cody that wins. I think if the whole gun for having the belt wasn't an issue and whether or not Goldberg was going to win it and that kind of being in the back of our heads, I might have gone for Jey and sort of doing a rematch at SummerSlam and sort of being the third of the trifecta because Jey alluded to it on Raw, like they're 1-1 now in terms of title matches. So let's run it back for a third and see who comes out on top.
Yeah.
But I just think Cody's only just coming back, really, in terms of having matches. He's not really been around before Money in the Bank. They're going to want him on Night of Champions and then SummerSlam or maybe Saturday Night's Main Event if there's something else going on. So I'm 100% certain in my mind pretty much that Cody's going to win. Unless there's some shenanigans where Jey can capitalize and then gets the pin. But I don't think there's really anyone there at the minute for Cody to worry about.
Yeah.
So I'm 100% certain on that. Where I sort of toss and turn on is the Randy-Sami match. Because on one side of it, I think they really want to do the Randy-Cody match. It's just, do they want to do it at Night of Champions? And do they want to do it for Queen of the Ring? King of the Ring? I would, in my head, fantasy booking, as I tend to do way more often than I should, I would think that would be a big pay-per-view, whether that's Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Rumble, or
Mania.
Even, dare I say it, Mania at some point. But I do think there is a possibility of them going that route because unless Sami is going to win King of the Ring, I think Sami losing to Cody at King of the Ring would be probably bad for Cody because of the reaction he would get. Because as you say, Sami is so beloved that I think Cody would probably go in with a bit more of a heel reaction. I'm not saying he's going to get booed out the building, but if Sami were to lose, I think that would maybe hurt Cody, especially when he was getting jeered before Mania with the whole Cena feud. I think he doesn't need more of that. He needs to be in a bit more of a plain sailing situation for the meanwhile anyway. So with that being said, I do think that Sami's going to beat Randy. I'm not 100% convinced. I am 50-50 on it, but I just think the Randy Cody match can come at any point, and a big pay-per-view is the place to have that, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's at Night of Champions. You could maybe do SummerSlam this year if you really want to and shoehorn that in some way, shape, or form. If Cody wins a belt by then or does something, or Randy does something interesting. But I just think with the journey that Sami's on, him winning the King of the Ring would be the first step in his build to winning that title that we all want him to get. And I think that the story he's on, whilst it's been bit by bit, it's been tiny step by tiny step, and we know WWE in this current era are very big fans of long storytelling. Sami winning a big tournament like King of the Ring would be a great boost not only to him as a character, but also his perception to everybody that he can go and win it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the aftermath of him winning it, sort of, we've debated on it and sort of theorized on a lot. But I do think this feels like Sami's time, and I feel like it's Sami versus Cody in the final for me.
I would really like that. I think for me, what I want so badly is Sami to go the whole way and then lose at SummerSlam. Like either win the title and be cashed in on, or just lose through nefarious means. AKA, if he goes after Cena, he loses by nefarious means and he gets ripped away from him. And on the other side, if he faces Gunther, he beats Gunther and then gets cashed in on. I think is what I would like, and I would love the fact that, because then at that point you've got Sami beating Randy, beating Cody, two of the biggest names in the company, which then puts him on par with those people. I think that I think if I was booking it, I would book Sami to win, win the semi-final especially, because Sami winning the semi-final will make fans believe that Jay can win. Because what they've done perfectly is they've paired friendships together on opposite ends of the bracket. So you've got Sami and Jay, and you've got Cody and Randy. So you believe that one of them's destined, they're destined for each other. So having Sami win, I feel like would then equalize the Cody Jay match a little bit from being so obvious that Cody's winning, because it will make people go, well, surely they're going to do the Jay versus Sami match. And you then add that little bit of doubt and then have Cody win, and then you have the really cool match between Sami and Cody. That's what I want to happen, and that's what I would really like to happen. It's just, as you said, they're going to resist doing Cody versus Randy when it's right on their fingertips. Or is this the whole point of they're just trying to tease that match will happen? It's a matter of when, not if. Because I would... We've discussed in the past off camera about what Cody's going to do at Mania, and if you're not going to have Cody in the title picture, a perfect throwaway match is Cody versus Randy. And you can do that at Mania with very little build. You can literally do exactly what they did with Randy versus Edge. One of them eliminates the other from the Rumble. They confront each other the night after, and Randy just RKOs him. That is all the build that you need to that match. Doesn't need anything else. That's as simple as it can be. So it's a tough one. I think they've actually set up King of the Ring this year where it's not obvious. And I think they've done the same with Queen of the Ring as well. Whereas I think last year, it was, I would say, a little bit telegraphed that maybe Gunther and Nia were going to win theirs. The only doubt in our minds with that one was, are they really going to let two monster heels win?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they did. This year, I honestly find it so hard to predict, which then means that all of the semi-final matches are must watch.
Yeah.
Because literally any of them could. Because especially after the stare down we had with Cody and Seth, I could see a world where Seth costs Cody against Jay, and Jay faces Sami at the pay-per-view, and then Sami takes advantage, or even Randy. But you run Randy versus Cena back.
Mm-hmm.
He got screwed out last time, so Randy comes back and goes, "You're not screwing me over this time. Let's no DQ it."
Yeah.
Type of deal.
Yeah, and bringing the Seth part of the equation into it, he plays into every single player in that King of the Ring tournament. You've obviously got the history with Cody and their stare off where he didn't really want to do anything, whether that's because he didn't feel like he could do something to Cody or if it was because of their history. Obviously, time will tell. You've obviously got the history with Jay and everything that's happened there. You've got, of course, all that history he's had with Randy, of course, that great WrestleMania match they had and the history of their feud over the years. And then, last but not least, you've got Sami, who straight after Mania was getting involved with Seth, and Seth was offering him to go to the other brand and get a title match for Cena to get him out the way. And I feel like that's probably another reason in my head, as we're discussing it, it's kind of ticking the boxes in my head of there's a story to tell there and there's a continuation to make. So, yeah, I mean, whoever wins it, it's going to be exciting to see because A, we'll find out who they challenge.
Yeah.
B, we'll see what the repercussions are for everybody else who loses because they'll, Jay's trying to get back on the top of that mountain. Cody's trying to get another opportunity maybe against Cena. Sami's trying to win the big one for the first time. Randy's trying to win it again and prove that he's still got it. There's stories left, right, and center there, and then there's the overhanging threat of Seth with the briefcase, which I did find interesting that Heyman walked out with the briefcase without Seth last night, but then Seth showed up and kind of blew that one out of the water anyway in terms of mad theories going on in my mind, which we know from previous videos. There's been a few. So yeah, I just think, like you say, they've set up this tournament really well. I know people had complaints about the structure of it, but I think it's kind of worked out with how quickly it is, obviously going from one PLE to the next. They've had to make it shorter and fewer matches.
I love the Fatal 4-Way thing because the one thing we don't get often in WWE, especially in the modern day, is multi-man matches. And I love multi-man match qualifying matches because it adds so much jeopardy when you've got no DQs involved. You've got anyone can be pinned involved, so you can have the chaos that we've had in the last couple of weeks of the likes of the LA Knights of the world, the Seth Rollinses of the world, all getting involved in all of these main event matches. In the women's side of things, you've had Rhea Ripley get involved, so you have all these involvements going on that then keep the unpredictability going. And also, they've been bloody brilliant. If they've learned anything, do this again next year because you can get more names in the hat of, people like Ivy Nile being in that tournament. As much as, yes, she lost, she didn't eat the pin, and she's in the ring with a bunch of the best wrestlers that they've got. So, you can carry people as well to more popularity through that. You having Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker in this tournament, despite neither of them coming through, it's helped show that Seth Rollins' faction is everywhere. Just little things like that. It helps tell more stories by doing the Fatal 4-Ways into the singles, because now we're into the singles, we're now into the big matches. So you've had the fun Fatal 4-Ways, which have a little bit been predictable at times, bar one or two. You've had, but they're fun, so no one cares that they're predictable because they're fun. So you, rather than having predictable singles matches, you've had predictable Fatal 4-Ways, but they're fun. And then now you're in the semi-finals, the crunch time, and now we're sat here literally going, well, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. And they've set it up so well. For me, they've took last year's format that worked and made it better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is what I think some people worried about, but it has worked quite well. And time will tell. We've only got a few short days. We've got in a week's time, we'll know where we're at. Basically, when by the time those matches are done, and we'll know who's in the finals. So, yeah, time will tell who will win. As always, folks, if you have enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 100, and would love all of your help on that. Hit that like button if you did enjoy the video as well. Let us know down in the comments, who would you like to see win the tournament. And as always, folks, if you want to see more wrestling content, keep it here for more wrestling chat, and we'll see you soon.